It's time to gather around the radio for another episode of Comic.Church, hosted by Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbro, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay, and the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray. Broadcasting live from the K-Talk Studios, KBJA 1640 AM, and streaming live with video on Facebook. And now, Comic.Church.
Welcome to Comic.Church. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday morning. It's a beautiful, semi-cold, not as cold as it was last week, Sunday morning here in Salt Lake City.
Full house today.
We do.
Very full.
A full house. We have, 5 of us all in a studio that's normally designed for 3. So we have an exciting episode of Comic.Church this week. We're talking Wonder Woman. So let's just go around the room. I guess we'll start off with our normal comic pastors just to get the ball rolling. Go for it, Sean.
Well, good morning. I'm here. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
What's your name?
My name is Sean. I am the subject matter expert of comic books, anything geeky.
Sean and I are sharing a microphone today, so we're going to get up close and personal. I'm Jesse. They call me the Reverend Sith Lord, I think. I think that's my nickname now.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I will go for it. I like it. It's good to be here, too.
And I'm Shireen Ghorbani, joining you for the first time.
Welcome, welcome. We are so excited to have you as a guest co-host today.
I'm thrilled to be here. I love Wonder Woman. I love all things nerdy and comic, but I have to say, my thing is the movies, so that's where my expertise is.
And that's quite all right. We are non-judgmental, whether it's through paperback, newspaper or movie version of how you consume.
Or socks.
Or socks, yes.
Sean is wearing right now.
And continuing going around the room, we have a regular co-host back joining us again, Jen Marco.
Hi.
Hi.
I admittedly am not really a comic nerd. Like, I mix up DC and Marvel. I know. It's like the whole, I know. But I am a women's empowerment expert.
Yes.
And I have a lot of expertise in other fields. And I did go see Wonder Woman in the theater.
Yes.
And was a fan of that. And I loved how everything was great on the island until a guy crashed into the ocean. And that pretty much messed it all up. But until then, they were doing awesome.
They were.
For years.
For centuries, or however long that was. So, yeah. I loved the movie.
it was good. Great movie. And
I think that was Captain America that crashed into the ocean.
No, it was actually it was Captain Kirk. Oh, okay. It was Captain Kirk.
Yeah, Captain Kirk. Yeah.
If we're crossing our,
he was going where no man has gone.
But no, we've talked about this before. Jen and I, we've known each other for 20 years.
Yeah.
And, we're talking Wonder Woman and the empowerment of women. There's one woman in my life that I know that can speak to that, and that is Jen. So,
aww, thanks, Pastor.
And I'll be completely honest. I was a bit nervous with this subject matter, normally because on Comic.Church, all 3 of us, as a regular hosts, are guys. And just the main headline going through my brain when we decided, this is going to be an awesome topic, is 3 guys mansplain Wonder Woman.
Well, me and Jesse have daughters, and Drew.
I just embrace the feminine.
Drew has Molly.
I have Molly.
So that's your female empowerment.
I also embrace my feminism.
Mm-hmm. He does dress
as
up,
a proud
as
a proud gay man. No, feminism doesn't need a dress. No, I will say though, like as we're talking Wonder Woman, I grew up in the 80s. I'm an 80s child. I will say that my mom, between me and my brother, had a hard time keeping aluminum foil in stock because we would make aluminum foil Wonder Woman bracelets and fight around the house with them.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
I like when I was a kid, That was my thing. Like I would go. A lot of my friends were girls, and I'd go and I'd play Wonder Woman with my friends. I was a Superman nerd too, but Wonder Woman was a big thing for me too.
Oh yeah.
So I've sort of aged into it because I was a She-Ra kid.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I had the mask. I had the sword that was pink in the playset. I still have it to this day, but it was gold on the show.
Uh-huh.
And there were a few other pieces that came with the kit. And I was a She-Ra girl. And actually, so I'm also a pretty active local person in politics.
Yeah.
And I think my politics is really informed by She-Ra. But I'll tell you, because I have dark brown hair, I've been wearing this blonde wig for years. For Halloween for years, I've been She-Ra. And when the Wonder Woman movie came out and you could get all the great Wonder Woman gear, I switched over. Put my wig away.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nairi is saying that the mic is peaking.
The mics are.
Nairi is on with us, so just letting you know. I don't know which one is, but
I
probably.
respect what Nairi says on mics peaking.
I will bring that down.
Another powerful
Nairi's
woman.
on my 1-year friend anniversary. I found out on Facebook.
Oh,
I'm gonna
cool.
say for the radio on that. Nairi is actually the one that introduced me to Jen. Actually, so
Happy Friend Day to you.
that's nice.
Yeah.
So Nairi,
why I
is
like
that any better? Did we get that fixed, or is that still up? Let us know. So yeah, we're really excited. So as we're going to jump into this conversation, it was actually our friend Nate Kazarian who pitched this show idea to us because we were talking about Wonder Woman last week. And if you're listening on air to K Talk, we replayed last week's episode leading into this episode, and we were talking Captain America, toxic patriotism versus moral patriotism, and we always kept on getting back to the Wonder Woman subject as well. And then we just decided, let's just follow up last week's conversation and continue it this week. And yeah, Nate Kazarian was telling me the story about how you decided to get into politics.
Yes. So there are a few pieces of the story, but basically I was motivated to get into politics after 2016. I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer, and I saw quickly how families can lose everything with one diagnosis. So protecting the ACA and actually pushing for affordable health care was really what got me going. So I was thinking about how I could get involved. I saw what was happening on the federal level with the election of Donald Trump and the attacks that came after on the ACA, and I just thought, I got to do something. And I kept thinking, well, I'll look around at my local politics, see what I can do, see what's out there for me. And I'm really actually pretty well represented. My city council person all the way up to the state legislature largely aligns with my values and is fighting for the things that I care about. And so I just kept thinking, well, it really does start to break down for me in Congress. And truly I think it was, I have this post on my Instagram feed, but I think it may have been June 2017. I walked into a theater. I watched Wonder Woman. I came out and said, I'm running for Congress. And so I decided to start laying the groundwork for that. And shortly thereafter, got filed and ran and actually really moved the needle in a district that hasn't changed in many years. Actually, since it was cut, we pulled down 6 points more than any Democrat previously had done. And we're really proud with our results. Ooh, and that's the music of what it sounds like when you do well, but you don't win, and so you have to fight another day.
Exactly. So we, your story of being inspired and getting into politics because of this movie. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, we have to have this conversation. So I love that you were able to be here to have that. So this is a conversation we're going to be talking, because the thing is, your story I've heard many times from many women, young girls to old women, who have already retired, saying, well, I'm not yet retired, I'm going to get back into it, from seeing that movie.
Yeah.
And it was such, I'm saying it as a man, but the movie inspired me as well. Like, it was, first of all, it was so well done.
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked about this at length,
It's one of my favorite, it's in my top 5 of superhero movies, and it's saying a lot. I mean, when I watched it, I usually have to go and watch these movies by myself just so I can totally put myself into it. And then the next time I'll go with other people.
Yeah.
When I saw this, I just was thinking of my daughter and how excited I was to bring her, to show her this movie. And, honestly, like we were talking earlier, when I watched the No Man's Land scene, it inspired me. And, I just was so excited that that movie that was on screen. That excited for my daughter and all these other females that I know to have something like that. Because it's like when Superman comes on, I'm like, yeah. And then finally to have a good Wonder Woman movie that like portrayed her beautifully. I was really excited.
Well, the real issue for me is that representation matters. If we look around and we never see anything that's reflective, I think it's the same reason that Black Panther was so amazing. Representation really matters, and being able to see and connect in really visceral ways with characters is important for people from all backgrounds. And the thing that I really liked about Wonder Woman, and it's actually kind of falling apart, I think, in some of the other Justice League movies, but the way that she is, the way like that No Man's Land scene and the power of the shots and the way that it just feels so dynamic and full and just like strong is really something that I would love to see more of for all people, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's we've talked about it on the show before, the power of mythology. And especially, the hero with 1,000 faces. And this is another one of those cases, gender aside, where, it's the same hero's journey that's told throughout all of our stories. And with mythology, being told in that way, we're able to see ourselves and momentarily suspend our judgment, our limitations, the limits we place on ourselves and our abilities, and see ourselves in that character. So in this case, it's Diana. We see ourselves in Diana. We see, people telling her, "Oh, Ares isn't real. That's just a myth. A story's never going to come about." You don't need to
gaslighting her.
Yeah, gaslighting her, and throughout every step of that, and being able to see ourselves in her storyline allows us to then also take on her warrior hero characteristics. And you know what? When you're done watching that movie, in the land of make-believe, Plato's cave, watching the projection, that's in your consciousness, giving you these ideas of what's moral, what's right, what's empowerment. When you leave the movie theater, those are still with you, and those don't go away, and that's what I love about mythology, and definitely Wonder Woman is a new mythology. It's in storylines. So
it's a suspended reality that is becoming more reality, which is interesting to see, because as a speaker and coach, singer, I am in spaces often where there are no men. So like women's retreats and entrepreneurial conferences and things like that, networking opportunities. So it's really interesting to see what that actually creates when women gather and have like 2 days by themselves and just, get to just lay it all out there and use all of our skill sets to be able to inspire and encourage and empower each other.
Exactly. Music's playing, which means we're headed up to break here.
Whatever.
But we're talking, I know, who pays bills? Except here at Comic.Church. But
You like the candle.
I might be in one of these jingles. Possible.
So you're listening to Comic.Church. We're talking Wonder Woman and the empowerment of women, and we'll be right back after a quick commercial break right here on
801-447-1789. You can also check out their website at armoryshootingrange.com. The range is open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic.Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbrother, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay.
Welcome back to Comic.Church, y'all. This is Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbrother.
I love that intro. That is just hysterical.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fine, sorry. So yeah, before we went to break, we're talking Wonder Woman, and we got some comments already going here in the comment section. Desiree was saying, "I'm raising 3 girls. We have never seen Wonder Woman. I think you sold me. I'm excited to watch this with them." And definitely.
Yeah, definitely do it. I think there are some really incredible messages. I do remember sitting in the theater. I also like to go to these movies by myself. So I sit there alone, just kind of taking it in. When, it's a stressful time of year or whatever, like nothing is better to me than going to a good comic book movie. But I remember sitting in Wonder Woman and at the end being very surprised by how emotional I thought that it was. And really having this kind of centering message around love. The key message there in that movie is love.
Well, yeah, there's that scene. I don't want to spoil too much where she's talking with Ares, and she says, it's not about what we deserve, it's about what we believe. Yeah. And I believe in love.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest, the inspirational things that kind of came out of that. When you were talking about what inspired you, that quote that she said in there kind of popped into my head about it's not about what we deserve, it's about what we believe.
Yeah, and are we going to get out there and fight for it, And I think there's something really incredible, too, about the other kind of twin thought that I had after watching Wonder Woman was we can't wait for her to show up, We have to start taking these steps every day to figure out ways that we can create either more representation or more equity or lead with love, like whatever the issue is. It was a really powerful experience for me.
It was. So and with that, so let's kind of start the conversation on that. One of the powerful things that I noticed with Diana in this movie was her connection with her intuition and trusting her, the voice inside, from the time that she was young as a child, saying, I need to be trained. I want to learn the ways, what I was created for, all the way up until she beat Ares. Her power, part of her power comes from trusting and listening to that intuition. I think that's a pretty important lesson to teach, because that's a power, that's not a superhero power. Yeah.
That's an every woman power.
Yeah.
Really an every person power. But I think that with women, it tends to be overshadowed a lot by people pleasing, because I think women feel more inclined to go towards people pleasing and codependency and kind of operating in the, well, if I do this, what will people think kind of thing, which sometimes can overshadow the intuition. And if we have hindsight and we look back at something, we can go, okay, I saw the red flags all along, or I didn't trust my gut or didn't follow my gut, and it led to this. And so now I'm doing like a preemptive strike. Like if something says, then right from the get-go, I'm like, bye. You're voted off the island. The tribe has spoken. I am the entire tribe. The torch is snuffed. Get on the boat and row away. There's a pizza waiting for you on the other side.
That's
but it's not
Survivor,
going to be.
Jen.
Pretty much is. And I'm running my own Survivor. So
You are.
I get to be the judge, jury, snuffer, whatever needs to happen. I'm going to do it. And when I didn't trust that, because I was listening to other people's voices about what kinds of things I needed to do, how I needed to raise my kids, what church I needed to be in, whether or not I should have a career, all those kinds of things, I was like, I'm not living in my own energy, and I'm not creating for myself and for my family. And this is other people's intuition that I'm trying to follow. And no wonder I feel miserable if I'm trying to follow what somebody else's perception of what I should be doing actually is. So when I've tapped into me And the last recital that Nairi and I did together, we're voice teachers. I sang the song "The Voice Within," and I think it's such a powerful song. It's by Christina Aguilera, and she just slays it. And she talks about really trusting yourself, and like that really is the ticket. You have to trust you. There can be all kinds of stuff firing at you, and you can still go, I'm not giving in to all of these voices, because if I go down the path that they are suggesting, that's actually like what they would choose for themselves, which is not what I would choose for myself. So I have to go back internally and go, am I willing to be judged for not following the path that they think I should follow?
Yep.
I think
I am.
I think there's a really good message in all this from that perspective, in that the Wonder Woman a lot of us remember is the Wonder Woman from our childhood. And
Linda Carter.
Linda Carter, yeah.
And that I think even, Linda Carter, looking back at Linda Carter, even looking beyond that at who we were at that time, at our own inner child, that's what a lot of us have lost. And another thing that the modern Wonder Woman is bringing back is that inner child that we have in each of us. And I think we tend to forget that. I'm reading a great book. It's called Conscious Parenting. Yeah, I shared it with Jen. And it talks about that idea that even in raising our own children, we lose that, and we try to get our children to become like us instead of allowing our children to just be themselves and their own unique beings. And when we look back to that time when we were watching Wonder Woman and Linda Carter as kids, that's my innocent self. That's who my authentic self was. And a lot of us have lost that throughout our lives. And that's what brings us into our own realities that we get to determine, and just going off of what Jen was just saying, and allowing us to look beyond what society is telling us we should or shouldn't do.
Well, and let's bring it back to the Wonder Woman movie, the current one. How does the whole entire movie start off? Diana's running away from school, from her teacher, on her own, basically saying, no, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And, we see that independence. And again, throughout the whole entire movie, you brought up the term gaslighting.
Yeah.
That she knew what she was created for. Yeah. She knew her destiny, even though she
goes and fights with her aunt. Well, trains with her aunt against her mom's. Her mom didn't want her to, because her mom was fearful that, Ares was going to find out what she was doing and everything. So
her mom wanted Diana to live according to what her mom wanted her to do, and again, not recognizing her destiny. But even with being surrounded by people that were trying to withhold that destiny from her and just let her grow up as a regular child, even Diana knew at that young age, this is not for me. This is not my path. This is not my destiny.
Yeah. Think about how radically different all of our lives would be if we could come to that realization early, and so could everyone around us.
Yeah.
I think it would just be such a much more pleasant place. I think you see this a lot. People trying to fit into particular molds, trying to do things because of expectations that have been set, and not being willing to really listen to who they are. That kind of self-knowledge, that kind of authenticity, I think is something that's been really important to me personally, being a nerdy, I was a theater geek. I was like a weird young kid. And then kind of thinking about what that's done in terms of setting my ability to put myself out there. I'm now running for Salt Lake County Mayor. To be out in the community over and over and over again and know exactly who I am is such an incredible gift. And it's something that took me, it took me many years to get there.
Yep. Well, and we have a meme that we've shared on this page, on our Facebook page. But it's Doctor Who basically talking about being weird. Yeah. And he's saying being weird is just another name for limited edition. So, I mean...
I love limited. Yeah, that's gonna suck. If something says that, I'm like, I gotta get it.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about people that we really admire, think about people that we look up to as far as either artists, politicians, musicians, sports figures. They're all out there. Like if you were to see Prince walking around in Macy's, would you be like, whoa, little red Corvette, okay? Or would you be kind of like, oh my gosh? Like, we'd probably be taken aback if we actually saw some of these people in the flesh. But yet, you know, what just won a Golden Globe? Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yep.
For celebrating somebody who was very out there doing his own thing.
Very limited edition.
Yes,
Very limited
yes.
edition.
One of the most rare of the rare. And that's part of why we love superhero movies as well, because
Bohemian, it's
they
a
have,
good movie.
Yeah.
I just watched it. It was a pretty good movie, and like you said, he embraced it.
yes.
And they wouldn't have been as big as they were if they would have adhered to what people wanted them to be.
Yeah, they rebuked the record label.
Yeah,
he refused to
walked
take
away.
to fix his teeth because he's like, this gives me more range, darling. He was like, I'm not about that life. So if we really look at the people that we even aspire to be like or sort of look to with characteristics that we want to emulate, they are the ones that stand out, the groundbreakers, the pioneers. Okay, not always literally like coming across the trains pioneers, but I think of someone like Oprah. She really was a pioneer.
Ellen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's so many people, and it's like I don't want to dress like everybody. I don't want to fit in with everybody because I've always felt I'm a little bit different. You know, I've always had to hide my comic book stuff and everything growing up, but now it's like it's so out there in the world that that's becoming mainstream, and so you know, I have so many people come to me and they're like, "Hey, well, tell me about the Spider-Man guy, and you know, what is this?" And now people come to me for it, and then all this useless knowledge that I was told that I had.
Now you get to be an expert and be
exactly.
somebody that
And I
people
know
come
this
to.
stuff, and people come to me for information, and I'm like,
Heck
"Hey."
yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't know who Winter Soldier is, but I'm gonna find out at some point.
That's right, and that weird is our inner us. I mean, speaking from as a marketer in my day job, the term weird is something that people flock to. If you use weird in a statement, I have this weird way of doing such and such, people tend to respond better to that than just saying you have this way of doing such and such. And that we as human beings innately flock towards weird. We shun it as a society, but individually we all want to be weird in some way or another.
Because we all are.
Because we
It's
all are.
psychologically true.
Yeah. We've all got our own little special brand of weird.
Mm-hmm.
If we could each write a prescription and be like, here's my weird, here's your weird.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with weird. And that's, you know, I think sometimes we think, oh, I'm that kid, but like,
But
you know,
so was everybody else.
Exactly.
That's the fascinating thing about watching on Facebook to see your friends 20 years out of high school is you're like, we were all feeling the same dirt thing.
Yeah,
And we
everybody
didn't
had
know
to hide
it.
it.
Yes.
You know, but if everyone had just embraced it, you'd have been like, "Oh, we're a lot more similar than you think." And everybody's got to hide it because they don't want everybody to know, or you know. And that's what the thing with the society now is everybody's feels like everyone's going to look down on them for doing something that they're probably doing themselves.
Right.
well, and not recognizing it. So one of my friends from high school, he has a kid, and you know, it was a really heartfelt post where he was, you know, realizing that his son has some problems, but he's like, you know, realizing that my kid is that kid, you know, and then I just realized, I'm like, well, I knew you back when you were a kid, and you were that kid too, and realizing that, you know, we try to place limitations and definitions, and oh, you have ADHD, you have Asperger's, you have autism, you have, you know, we try to give everyone labels,
Or you throw like a girl.
or you throw like a girl, but the thing is, none of these labels really mean anything. It's somebody else's opinion about what they think the norm should be, and you know, normal is just a setting on your washing machine.
Yeah.
Like,
I did a master class a couple nights ago for a group of kids at Soundhouse who all are in like student bands. So Soundhouse is known for having some of the best student-based bands in the state. So they keep winning Best of State, like Crescent Superband and stuff. So we're talking to all these people that are vocalists, and I said, if you do a performance and you get 5 different types of feedback, and one person loved it, the other person said, your vowels could have been better, or somebody else hates it, etc., which one of them is right? And I said, they actually all are. To themselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever you choose to take in as feedback is up to you to pick what really resonates with you and what doesn't, and you can take some stuff and let it just roll off your back, or you can hang on to the one comment that was kind of negative from the person that probably wishes they could be up there instead of you, and keep mulling that over in your head. And it's the stories that we make significant that stop us.
That is beautifully said. And I was reading a book on like psychology and everything, and they said for every 5 positive things, you only retain 1 negative, and that's what you focus on. And it's really your mentality of what you're focusing on and everything like that. So I like how, you're saying, you get to choose which one you want to focus on,
or none of them. You
Yeah.
could just go, thanks for your interesting point of view, and just keep on singing.
Yeah.
Just keep trucking. Because if you believe in what you have to bring to the table, which is something that I think Diana, she just knew. She was like, I got this. She doesn't question herself when she puts her arms up. She's not like, I wonder if this is... No, she just puts them up and she's like, let it go where it
And
goes.
it does it.
Yeah.
She came up over that ladder into no man's land. She knew what she was doing,
Oh, yeah.
and that just, that first footstep into it, and I was just like, yeah,
This is awesome.
This is, yeah.
She walks with such a ferocity, and I love that they have like the slow motion, and she's just like...
slinging bullets, and even knocks a missile away, or mortar.
And really,
Yeah.
honestly, there's a lot of women that are doing that every day. It just doesn't look the same. It's not like in the same container, but we're doing it too. We're getting these things flung at us, and we're like, I'm not hearing that insult. I'm not responding to that comment. Don't even read the comments sometimes, right?
Yes. I was going to say, usually in more sensible shoes and a little bit more of a practical outfit. And yes, women are doing this every day.
Can you imagine if you campaigned in that outfit?
I mean, I have. I've shown up in the outfit, yeah.
You got my vote. But yeah, that because I've worn the Captain America suit to some of the movie premieres and things like that, and the theater, they're looking at me and I'm like, no, I'm just here to watch the movie, but I still get a line of people wanting to get a picture with me and things like that, and I'm like, I just do it because I love it, and it's fun, and my friends are like, you're not gonna do it, I'm like, yeah,
Watch me.
Yeah.
Think again.
That's awesome. You're listening to Comic Church on K-Talk AM 1640, real local two-way talk. We're headed break, but we will be right back after these messages. We're talking Wonder Woman and all this fun empowerment stuff. So we'll be right back after this.
The person I actually...
Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. You can help by simply sharing your time, lending a warm smile, a supportive hand, or a sympathetic ear to someone who needs it. Everyone can do something to make veterans know just how much we appreciate their service. Please visit www.volunteer.va.gov. What will you do?
I am a veteran. I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory was finding the help I needed. Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
When it's cold outside, warm up with the hottest live local two-way talk. K-Talk Media, 1640 AM.
What if you were wearing something sexy? What if you were drinking? What if you made the first move? No matter what, sexual assault is never your fault. Support is available 24/7 through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Call 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAINN.org. That's RAINN.org. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN, reminding you it's never your fault.
Brought to you by RAINN and this station. Choosing your next Utah home should be a fun and exciting experience. As Utah's heritage home builder, Perry Homes is constantly striving to give our home buyers more for their money. More new homes in Utah, more desirable Utah home locations, more timeless designs, more inherent home value, and lasting pride of ownership. At Perry Homes, we make it our top priority to ensure the home buying process is as joyful and stress-free as possible. Our 40-plus year heritage has been forged on the principle of building Utah homes of high value in the communities where Utah families want to live, and giving our home buyers the quality of home we're proud to call a Perry home. Visit us at perryhomesutah.com to see current Utah home locations and available home styles and floor plans. Perry Homes. We build homes where Utah families want to live.
Welcome back to Comic.Church. On K-Talk. Hi. So we're back. So when we're on break, you want?
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the lasso of truth. What do you know about it?
So, well, the Marston, he's the guy that created Wonder Woman. He, had some women in his life and everything like that, and they talked about how there's no strong female characters or anything like that. And so they thought up the Wonder Woman and everything like that. And then along with it, he was one of the creators of, or the inventors of the blood pressure and everything like that. So he kind of had a lot to do with the blood pressure. And in turns, one of his friends created the polygraph. And so through the polygraph and the inspiration of it, they came up with one of her things that she uses as the lasso of truth. And it's the indestructible, nobody can withstand it, and she's even used it on herself, and the thing, it's pretty cool. And to think that that's kind of where it came from, the idea is kind of from the polygraph. You can't lie.
It's such an interesting piece, I think, of the idea of, one of the themes we were talking about earlier is just having a sense of self, a strong sense of self, and not denying that. And so I think it's so interesting that one of her, one of the pieces in her arsenal is this rope that makes you tell the truth, right? Like, it's such an incredible fit for the things she stands for, and I think what she was trying to do. And I there are a couple times when it's used in the movie, but I feel like it's such a funny thing that I wish that it was used more.
Yeah.
Let's also not forget that all this was happening during MK Ultra when it was first introduced too. Just saying.
Well, how many times do we contort our version of the truth in order to be able to be in relationship, or in order to have a perception of us that's different than what we have of ourselves even in that moment? Like, something I've seen that's been really interesting culturally living in Utah is that there's a lot of people that have kind of hidden desires or aspirations or things that they really wish that they could pursue, but they cut off parts of themselves so they can fit into a, either extended family or into their neighborhood or to the PTA or something like that. And on the inside, they're kind of dying because there's something they're not able to be because they won't let themselves be it.
I don't think that, I think that's something that happens. It's not special to Utah.
Yeah.
I've lived a few different places. I grew up in North Dakota. I think that's the result of a pervasive narrative in our society about what it means to be X, like what it means to be a woman, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a boy or a girl, whatever, that there really isn't a good narrative about what it might mean to be in between. Mm-hmm. That is a pervasive aspect of our culture. And I know that I think it can feel particularly resonant here. But I found it everywhere that I've gone. I've
lived everywhere too.
Story.
Yeah, I've lived all over the place. But I was born in New York, and people are very much unabashedly themselves there. So that was where I felt a difference. Was that I've never seen so much aspirational shame as I have in Utah. Well, and that's something that has been like other places that I've lived. It's not even really a thought of if you have kids, if you'll keep working or not. Like you just kind of do. Well, and here it's like I've seen something that's kind of like, whoa! I hear the stories over and over again. I have things I want to do. I want to write a book. I want to do an album, and I'm like, well, do it. And they're like, but I can't.
I'm sure you saw this was like maybe a year ago, a report came out about the most sexist states, and unfortunately Utah was really high on that list. And one of the drivers was the internal sexism that a lot of women are dealing with. And I think that's exactly right. That kind of feeling of, I know I want to do this. I have this thing that I want to do, but I have so much shame around like actually getting out there and doing it. So I hope if anyone listening is one of those people who's thought about writing a comic book or doing a radio show or singing publicly or whatever that might be, do it. We want you to do it.
The perfect analogy, as you were describing that, remember that toy we all played with as kids? You have your circle, the square, the stars, the triangles, the pyramids, and you get them through the shape and put them through the hole. And, it's like we're all a bunch of stars, and we're trimming off all of the points so our stars can fit through the circle hole. And then what does that leave us with? Just a bunch of damaged circles.
Yes. That barely made it through the hole.
Who were meant to be stars, it's definitely not exclusive to Utah, but I think culturally, we exacerbate that a little bit more than other states. I grew up in the liberal left coast of Orange County, California, so I wasn't as culturally forced into a one-size-fits-all mold as, say, had I grown up in somewhere in Milford, Utah, where, everyone has to be the same way or you get ostracized. And I think when we, there's a Dr. Seuss book about that too, like with the people getting the star stickers and the...
Oh yeah. It's been a minute since I've read that.
But it all goes around the same thing: not being your authentic self and trying to live yourself according to what somebody else says. And we'll bring it right back to Wonder Woman. Diana's mom trying to not let her be who she was created to be, or when she finally gets to with all the humans, oh, Ares isn't real. You don't understand. It's just war. We all hate each other. But again, it's trying to conform somebody else to what you think their ideal of what they should become. And let's parallel that to real life. How many of us are living authentically 100% who we are?
Yep. Yeah. Yes.
And
I gave up.
Process to
I gave up the old. I was like, I knew about 10 years ago or so that if I didn't make a drastic change, my body was just going to give out on me. It was just going to be done. Yeah. Because my energy systems were so depleted all the time from trying to be sweet, to put the plastic smile on, to go be with the extended family, that I was really we don't even talk about anything deep because we can't, because we have an argument. And I was kind of the one woman in that group that would sort of stand up for herself, talk about political issues, talk about things that maybe didn't fit into a certain construct. Mm-hmm. And I was the only one. Yeah. And then when we would start to get kind of heated, my mother-in-law would step in and be like, let's change the subject. And I just felt like,
let's quickly go back to talking about nothing.
Yeah, so then we'd go back to so what'd you guys think of American Idol this week? Yeah. And I'd get in the car and drive home and be like, if I have to do this one more time, so I made and you saw this because we've been friends for a long time.
I was a witness to this.
You were a witness to the Great Escape. Because I kind of left a lot of things all at once. And then as I've continued to go on, I've been more and more bold and public about being a Christian, about drinking coffee, about being a single woman, being a single mom. And I can't not be me.
Yeah.
I can still be accepting and have a lot of allowance for other people and their lifestyles and the way they want to do things and be a cheerleader for their dreams and their aspirations. But I will not turn myself back into the circle. I'm not cutting off the star to be in the circle because I was not built for that.
Yeah.
I was built to be a revolutionary person and to show my kids that it's possible to sing in a stadium one day and have a one-on-one voice lesson the next, and that I can do everything that I want to do and nothing that I don't want to do. And sometimes that means dishes don't get done because I'm I'm not feeling it. I'm not doing it right now. And y'all can do that.
And realizing that that's okay.
It really is. It's my home, so it's my domain. And I do fight inner voices sometimes that are cleanliness is next to godliness. And I'm well, nobody said anything about goddesses. So Goddesses get to write their own rules.
And no one says that we have to live in a model parade homes 24/7. Like, first of all, the reality is that
we live
doesn't
there.
happen. That does not happen.
Yeah.
You know.
And if it did, that would be all my energy would be going towards that. And that means my contribution to the world outside of the four walls that I'm in would become null and void for just having no dust.
Yeah, but also let's say not that if you like, you know, live in a spotless house, and if you go to my parents,
yeah,
they have a model home all the
eat
time.
off the floor.
Literally, like you can perform surgery on any surface and be guaranteed that you'll be fine. But
it's a byproduct of ADHD, I'll tell you that.
It's also byproduct of the greatest generation. But that works for them.
And they value that.
They do. But honestly, if I were to do that, I would be so exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not me. And my partner, he hates it. Yes, we have our kitchen table that's always full of either all the week's mail and a few of my projects and stuff like that. And
also a byproduct of ADHD.
Yes, true. But it's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay. The world's not going to end. You know, relationships will still be intact, but it's whatever works for you, and just be you, and that's the biggest message.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, are we really saying here that empowerment is just a radical embracing of self? Just saying, like, I am who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And imagine if what would be possible if we embraced empowering everyone around us to do that. I really like the idea. Like, I'm trying to live the same model in my own home, and I have 7 kids, and my kids, some of them get it, some of them don't, and some are in a little bit more closed mindset, but they'll rebel against me in my more open mindset on certain things. And I actually encourage that, because that rebellion of what my kids are doing is actually that open mindset in disguise. They are actually being their authentic selves and pushing against the norm that they're familiar with, which is me. So it's actually a good thing to allow your kids to rebel, allow them to question, allow them, no matter where you stand on the line. I actually really love it when my kids do that. The more I can encourage them to do that, the better. But it's so. I think that's where our kids and ourselves find ourselves when we allow ourselves and others to rebel.
Well, and it's not even necessarily rebellion. It just might be believing differently than you do.
Mm-hmm.
And is that really rebellion?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just having a free thinking mind?
Yes.
One of the most freeing conversations I had with my kids was when I said, we don't all have to believe the same thing.
And a rebellion is basically just challenging the status quo.
And we love rebellions, not to like switch from DC and Marvel, but like Star Wars is all about rebels. It really is. It's like everybody loves like Finn because he busts out of the stormtroopers and goes and has a whole different existence.
The 4th of July is also all about rebellion.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Right.
let's so much of who we are is based on rebellion. So why are we criticizing and demonizing rebellion? The only people that do that are the people that are usually in charge, keeping the status quo in place. And rebellion usually means it's going against their power structure. So I mean,
and they
they're
probably
the ones that
wish they
label
could rebel.
Yeah. But they're the ones that label it a bad thing, make it negative. Whereas
one of the big things is people don't do it because they're afraid of others' opinions, and they're afraid of the way it is. Just because my house is a mess doesn't mean that I am, it bugs me, but somebody else comes over. It doesn't mean I have to hurry and clean up it or anything like that. It just means that I'm comfortable with that. And, just because other people have opinions and other people, that's not how they would do it, doesn't mean, I'm any different or I have to feel differently. It's a lot of it's others' opinions and what their thoughts are. And people I'm worried about what they're going to think my house looks like. I'm worried about what they're going to think how I dress, and that's the big thing is we're worried about other people's thoughts and opinions. And you just can't do that if you want to live who you are.
That is so true. And people's opinions don't matter, but that's the lesson for the day. But
we make it so that it does, but you gotta just not think that way. Just live how you want to be.
Exactly. We're coming up to the top of the hour here in church, Comic.Church on K-Talk, AM 1640, real local two-way talk. We'll be back 6 minutes after the top of the hour, so stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hey there, comic book fans and believers in all things geekdom. This is Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbro, and I just want to let you know that all of us here at Comic.Church are working hard to build a place that we can all come to, a place of refuge, a place to be edified by the universes that inspire us the most. And this show, it's just the launching off point. We invite you to subscribe to our podcast, Church, using your favorite podcasting service. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, and more. Also, please like our Facebook page, Church on K-Talk. On our page, you'll have a chance to interact with us live each Sunday. Plus, you'll have a chance to hear from us as we post our thoughts, inspirational somethings, and whatnots all throughout the week. We have so much in store for 2019 and into the future, and we invite you to come along and be a part of it. We at Comic.Church know exactly how important fans are, and we thank you for taking a chance and being our fans.
Military life is rewarding, but it isn't always easy.
Managing the stress can affect even the strongest warrior.
But I will stay mission ready.
I will keep my mind and body fit.
Talk to my chaplain.
Seek care early. Strive for progress, not perfection.
I got this.
I got this.
Take the first step.
There's no better time than now.
Reaching out is a sign of strength. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.
You're listening to the all-new K-Talk Media, KBJA 1640 AM, Sandy, Salt Lake, and the entire Wasatch Front, bringing you live local two-way talk.
84. This remarkable product is...
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Michael Harrington. While Democrats are rejecting President Trump's latest offer to end the partial government shutdown, Utah Senator Mitt Romney says he thinks the compromise really could be worked out.
Democrats have voted for border fence in the past. We have some 600 miles of border fence now. And the president has indicated he's willing to give DACA individuals the right to stay in the country legally. So on policy, it strikes me like there's not a big gap.
Mr. Trump's offer would extend temporary protections for young people brought to the U.S. illegally and for people who fled disaster zones. In exchange, he would get the $5 billion he needs for the border wall. A vote coming in the Senate on Tuesday. A major winter storm is bringing some of the coldest temperatures of the season and foul weather to New England today. Nearly 2,000 flights canceled across the country, with Boston's Logan Airport being one of the hardest hit, according to FlightAware. California Governor Newsom says safety, reliability, and affordability are his big concerns as he looks at a likely bankruptcy of the state's largest utility.
Newsom has sought to assure the public that Pacific Gas and Electric's potential bankruptcy won't result in power shutoffs. Unlike the utility's 2001 bankruptcy amid California's energy crisis, the utility is now facing bankruptcy due to massive liabilities from deadly wildfires. The Democratic governor says protecting victims of the wildfires and ratepayers is a top priority for his new administration, but he hasn't decided on any action. He says staving off the bankruptcy filing is ideal, but it may not be possible. He says PG&E has not been a trusted player in the past. Jeremy House reporting.
The African Union says it has postponed its urgent mission to Congo planned for tomorrow after the country's constitutional court did not heed its unprecedented request to delay the final results of the disputed presidential election. The AU is not congratulating the declared winner. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Yes, yes, yes!
If you snore, the first time you use mute can be quite an experience. Snoring can happen when your nose is blocked, forcing you to breathe through your mouth. Mute is a comfortable nasal breathing device designed to increase airflow through the nose by gently opening the airways.
I can
breathe! You'll get all the air you need through your nose, not your mouth. And with less snoring, there's more chance of sleep.
For more information, go to mutesnoring.com. Mute. Breathe more, snore less, sleep better.
Looking for term life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, may be a bit porky, or have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost around $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013 or biglou.com. For affordable term life, visit biglou.com.
Britain's Labour Party calling for an open debate on Brexit.
The Labour Party's Brexit chief, Keir Starmer, says it's now up to British Parliament to take the tough decisions needed to break the Brexit impasse. Starmer went on to say that holding a second referendum on Britain's EU membership has to remain an option.
This is the phase where our conference policy says if we cannot get a general election, Labour must support all options remaining on the table, including campaigning for a public vote.
Britain is scheduled to leave the bloc on March the 29th and so far does not have a Parliament-approved withdrawal plan. Many economists warn this no-deal scenario could have serious economic consequences. Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn refuses to take part in the talks. May has requested
designated.
When you're hiring, you want qualified candidates fast, and it can be hard to know where to find them. More than 3 million businesses use Indeed.com, the world's #1 job site. Whether you need entry-level or highly skilled employees, Indeed helps you find great talent and make the right hire. Indeed is offering new users a $50 credit to give their first job post premium visibility as a sponsored job. Redeem this offer at Indeed.com/promo. That's Indeed.com/promo. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
With OnStar, you don't need to drive the newest model car to have the latest in connectivity. If you're not connected, now get select OnStar services free for 3 years with no strings attached. You'll get a mobile app that lets you start your car or unlock your doors from your phone, and monthly diagnostic email reports. Just push the blue OnStar button and ask for 3 years of free mobile app and diagnostic services. Emergency and security services are not included. Eligible on select 2011 and newer vehicles. Visit OnStar.com for details, coverage map, and system limitations.
My name is Dr. Jonathan Greenberg. Stop what you are doing because what I'm about to say will improve the quality of your life. ZYPPAH.com. That's ZPA. It's Happy Z spelled backwards. ZPA is designed to be comfortable, affordable, and effective at eliminating snoring. I want to help you stop snoring. Go to ZPA.com and order now. ZYPPAH.com. Snoring is a serious matter. ZPA will conquer your snoring problems. Go to ZPA.com and order now.
There's absolutely nothing traditional about my small business. And when it comes to technology, I need someone who understands my unique needs. That's where my Dell Small Business Technology Advisor comes in. With one phone call, he sets me up with tailored products and services. And when my advisor is focused on my tech, I can focus on my small business.
Get end-to-end solutions with the help of a Dell Advisor, including PCs featuring Intel Core processors. Call an advisor today at 877-BUY-DELL.
We now return to Hour 2 of Comic.Church on K-Talk, AM 1640. Real local two-way comic psycho spiritual talk. With your host, Drew the Fairy Godbro, the Reverend Sith Lord Jesse Stay, and the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray. And now we return to the sanctum of spirituality, Comic.Church.
Welcome to Comic.Church. Drew has handed the mic over to me. And And we're today talking Wonder Woman. But first, I wanted to just quickly announce a new and upcoming show that I'm going to be doing on Thursdays. I am calling it Social Geek Live. And the idea behind Social Geek Live, I've had this Social Geek brand for some time where I do gadget reviews and other themes. And you may have seen me on Fox 13's The Place a couple times here and there talking about my favorite technology and such. So we'll be spending a whole hour every Thursday mornings on K-Talk, AM 1640, and we'll be talking about tech, and I'll be doing some reviews. I want to do we'll talk Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence and all the things that all the things that really make me happy. And it's it's going to be fun. So tune in on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, AM 1640, and I will have a Facebook page for this here very soon. And but if you follow me on my channels, we will be announcing much more on that here very soon.
And we'll link to your show on the Comic.Church and Church on K-Talk Facebook pages as well.
Awesome, I appreciate that.
It's going to be an exciting show. I'm rooting for you. So.
I'm excited. We'll have you on a few times too, Drew.
I might have a few things to talk about tech-wise.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And also, Shireen, you're going to be taking off after this segment.
Yes.
So let's just hop right back to you.
Okay.
And while we were out on the news break, we were talking about, between you and Jen and I, what is going on with the Salt Lake County mayor's race.
Yes.
And you are running for mayor. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I'm in the running to be the next Salt Lake County mayor, just coming off of a run in the 2nd Congressional District. Okay. The 2nd District is a really uniquely shaped district. It reaches from Farmington. It grabs the heart of downtown Salt Lake City. It has Magna, the west side of West Valley City, and then it goes all the way out to the Nevada border and down to St. George, all the way down to Olive Grand Staircase is in it. Wow. It is a very diverse geographic district, and we did really well. I was not able to win that race. I did, however, earn 67% of the vote in Salt Lake County, and I did that by spending a lot of time out at the doors, just knocking, and talking to people about what they care about, what they're concerned about. And it was funny because I was running for Congress, right? So federal. So I got in the race because of protecting healthcare, access to healthcare and benefits, and Medicare was a really important part of it for me. I mentioned at the top of the show, I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer in 2016, and I saw how quickly families can lose everything with one diagnosis. And for us, we were incredibly lucky. She was a teacher. She raised me by herself. She had a home, and she had turned 68. So she, 3 years prior, had aged onto Medicare. If we wouldn't have had that, we would have lost everything, everything she ever worked for. So that's what got me into politics. So it was funny to be standing on people's doors and saying, hey, I'm here, I'm running. I'm wondering, when you think about your representation or what you want somebody fighting for, what comes to mind? And it was interesting to me how often people would say, look at this stop sign, and look how this road is, or my neighbor doesn't do X, Y, or Z. And it was a good reminder that all politics is local.
It is.
And really looking at what happened then after, so this is a special election to fill the seat vacated by Ben McAdams, now a congressman. And the issues, some of the real issues that people face are work that's happening at the county. So I am deeply motivated by healthcare, access to healthcare. County Health provides a huge resource in our community. Looking at the rec centers, the libraries, the arts centers that are supported by the county infrastructures is incredibly important. Mm-hmm. But also, safe communities, criminal justice. A lot of the work that's happening at the county really touches our everyday lives. And some of the stories I heard over and over again at the doors were about concerns for affordable housing, feeling like we're getting to a point where a lot of people are worried that, their kids aren't going to be able to buy that first home, or seeing just the lack of housing on the market. So housing is something
or
where
the rent is 60% of pretty much what your income is now. It's getting to the point that it's not I am so blessed that I was able to get a house when the housing market was at its bottom in 2011.
Yeah.
And I had the VA home loans to help me get through.
Yeah.
But, even before that, owning a home realized like I'm paying $300 less than I would be renting something that was even bigger than that, and it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So affordable housing was one that just came up over and over and over again. And it was interesting because, like I said, I was at the doors, like I'm standing on people's doorsteps, and it was a good education for me in terms of how many families were living intergenerationally. So parents living with kids or vice versa, and not because they don't have good jobs, they just actually couldn't even find a home, you know? So affordable housing was a really big motivating factor for me. The other really big one was listening to the true stories of just heartbreak and tragedy around addiction and mental health care in our society. So I was really fighting for health care. Mental health care is health care as far as I'm concerned, and a hotline is not mental health care. We need full coverage for mental health.
App isn't.
An app is not. It's important.
It is, and it's a step.
It's a step.
But it's not a solution.
It's not health care, right? So I can't tell you how many families I spoke with that I just remember this woman. I was knocking doors up in Rose Park, and we had a conversation about the environment. She cared about, air quality, protecting our public lands, which I also stand for. But man, she came out after we were done with our conversation, said, I want to tell you the story of my son, and talked about losing her son to addiction and feeling like there just weren't those resources there. So really, I'm going to be out there fighting for that Medicaid expansion that we passed as voters here in Utah, making sure that those dollars are coming back into the county and really helping those most vulnerable among us. So those are the reasons that I decided to get into this race. And we were just discussing, it's a little bit, people are like, is this even happening? What's happening? So here's a plug for getting involved on caucus night. So can you talk about, so this happens in the Republican, and actually across all of our parties.
It does.
You can go out and participate in caucus night, and that means that you might have the opportunity to vote in something like this.
And
you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and I accidentally became a delegate. So, we're going into the 2016 election. It was a lot of focus, a lot of tension. We had our caucus nights, and I went because, I was going to be a responsible neighbor. I have this philosophy: if you don't go, you can't complain, or you don't get to complain. Or same thing, if you don't vote, you don't get to complain about politics. Like, sorry, revoked. Yeah. So I went and ended up for our precinct, there was 3 of us there that showed up, and there was 4 jobs that needed to be filled. And so, by the end of the night, I ended up being the vice chair for the precinct in my neighborhood, which means, with this being a county special election, meaning that it's outside of the general election time period, and it's not going to go to a general election. So we're filling a seat, which means it goes to the county delegates of that county to vote for
the replacement.
The replacement. And then, the position that they're being elected for will then be re-voted for during the regular election cycle.
Yeah, so this is a really, I have to just make a plug for this. If you are a person who's interested in getting involved in your community, regardless of party affiliation, please go down to your caucus night. There are often open seats all over the entire county, and there's an opportunity to get involved, and it's a great way to get to know your state legislators, to get to know your local representation, and you can get out there, and really the goal is that you're out helping to mobilize, knock on doors. And I'll tell you, the privilege and the honor of running for office is one that is unparalleled. We, I think, are feeling more and more disconnected from our community all the time. And if you want to change that, run for office. You will be out there on doorsteps. You'll be invited into homes, into churches, into mosques, onto farms. I went everywhere because people wanted to be heard, and they wanted to be acknowledged for their beliefs and the concerns that they had,
And if
I had the chance to be a delegate as well, and I can't tell you if you want a level of power in this state, the ability to go to my representatives and say, I'm a delegate behind your party here, and I have the ability to, before the election even happens, decide on your fate. You have a lot more say in what they're going to accomplish, and I use that over and over again
definitely.
To do it.
In this situation, as a delegate, so I'm on the, and you don't even need to be completely aligned with the party, and I'll say fully open, I am not a member of the Utah Democrat Party, but I am a delegate for my neighborhood.
I know a lot of liberals that are delegates in the Republican Party.
I met a few of those.
but
I was at the end.
You don't have to eat up and serve the entire platform of that party to affiliate, because you know what? Get in there and change it.
Yes.
And that's what I'm doing. And when you say oh, it doesn't have anything. Do you know what? For the last month and a half, I've been having all the candidates who are trying to become the county mayor for the capital city of our state, literally having people on my phone calling, texting, hey, so-and-so wants to talk to you. When can we schedule, or have her call you? When can he call you? We're having an open house here. We really want your support. And so if you want to talk about having influence, you know, just becoming a neighborhood delegate, you literally have politicians calling to beg to get your attention. Like it's amazing, and it's fun to play with too. A little bit. No, I haven't done that with your people.
No, that's kind of you. But I'll tell you, there's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be said for that, and I think we do our best when we are. Maybe we aren't, the kind of person who grew up in Republican Party or Democratic Party. Maybe you're a person who does find yourself more in the middle. I think when you bring a diversity of maybe some of the big political kind of buckets into the party that you think is closest, that sort of moderation, that kind of being a person who's maybe a little bit more in the middle, I think is really good for all of us. There's been so much polarization, and I think what I found is that we really have a lot that we agree on, maybe different approaches on how we get there. So it's an opportunity to really change the face of your representation, to really get involved in your community. Strong precinct chairs, precinct vice chairs, that kind of process is really good for the health of the kind of people that we get elected.
Diversity of strength.
Yeah, and a diversity of strength. So I think there's such a huge plug for that. And when we think about kind of looping this back to Wonder Woman, I think we just cannot wait for we can't wait for leaders to show up.
Yeah.
All of us have the opportunity to go down on our caucus nights, get involved, start leading in our communities, run for local races, really step out there, get involved in the schools, get involved in the PTAs, whatever it might be, but really give that kind of engagement in our communities. And I think especially for people our age and even a little bit younger, it's really important that we are showing up now, because there's a lot of people who feel like it doesn't matter, and I can assure you that it does.
Exactly. And, with that doesn't matter, that's also stuff from the past. Like, it is mattering. It does matter. And, you talk about our generation. We're right now at a handoff period.
Yeah.
The greatest generation is moving on to their next station in existence. And with that, we're moving into the position of leadership and taking on the responsibilities, for our generation to hold the fort.
Yeah.
While we prepare our younger generation to then take it from us. So that time is happening now.
It's happening now.
Right now.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. And you said the other, get involved in politics, and not everyone maybe wants to run for office.
That's
but
right.
You don't have to be the named person to run for office. You just have
There's a lot of ways to get involved.
Just get involved. So tell us, how can people reach you?
So you can check out where I stand on issues at ShireenForMayor.com. But more than that, if you come to Shireen Ghorbani on Facebook, you can follow the political page where we post a lot and interact, answer your questions. It's also Shireen Ghorbani on Twitter and on Instagram.
How do you spell that?
I know, it's SHIREEN, last name GHORBANI.
And we'll throw a link to that in the video comment section.
Great.
Thank you so much.
It's so fun to be here. Thank you, and thank you for talking about Wonder Woman.
Show us your shield real quick.
Oh, and my shield. So I have the sword as well. But it's perfect. You can, in the past, I've sometimes duct taped a little, plastic bag on the back and used it as a purse.
That's awesome.
Yes!
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're headed to break, so we'll thank you. We'll have to have you back again. Thank you for joining us.
Tractors in America for a reason. They're comfortable, spacious, easy to control, and have a range of performance-matched implements to tackle all kinds of jobs. Right now, get a Kubota L2501 with a 6-year warranty, plus 0% APR financing for up to 60 months, or great customer instant rebates. Now through December 31st, 2018. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Find a Kubota dealer near you at GoKubota.com.
When the fake news stations are slick as ice this winter, cut through with K-Talk Media, your favorite local talk station.
AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering Americans 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. No limits, no labels. Aging is changing. Visit aarp.org AARP.org/UT for more information. Make the most of each day with AARP.
When a challenge rises up, do we let it stand in our way or go the distance to overcome it? I didn't want to stay at the bottom, but after I was shot in Afghanistan, I was told I'd never walk again, if I even survived. My wife and healthcare providers were there to help me climb my hill. I learned that psychological care is key to recovery from both physical and invisible wounds. Decide now that I will take the first step. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.
Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. Please visit www.volunteer.va.gov.
The weekend is coming, and you need to plan a date night. You could go to a movie and dinner, but there's nothing original about that. Here's a new and exciting idea. Take your date indoor shooting at the Armory Gun Range. Instead of renting a bowling lane or playing miniature golf, yay, you can rent a shooting lane at the Armory Gun Range. Impress your spouse or your date with your original plan. The Armory can provide both guns and ammo, and rookies are welcome.
I would be excited if my boyfriend took me shooting. The Armory is located in Sandy at 9210 South and 248 West. The phone number is 801-447-1789. Again, that is 801-447-1789. You can also check out their website at armoryshootingrange.com. The range is open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
The Armory Gun Range, blowing holes in boring date nights.
Welcome back, comic fans. We now return to Comic.Church, leaving you right where we left off before the break. And now here's your host, Pastor Drew the Fairy Godbrother, the Monsignor of Marvel, Sean Ray, and the Reverend Sith Lord himself, Jesse Stay.
Welcome back to Comic.Church.
I got my own mic now.
You got your own mic now.
I'm not kissing Sean anymore.
Oh man, I feel lonely over here.
So Shireen had to take off. She had a debate that she had to go do prep for that she's in later this evening for the county mayor race. So good luck to Shireen for that. We're rooting for her.
I hats off to her, because, or anyone in politics, quite frankly, because I have helped in politics. I have been involved in politics, and it gets so dirty up there. And anyone willing to step foot into that arena and be able to endure that, hats off. You need to be a Wonder Woman to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Big, strong voice.
Definitely.
And very knowledgeable.
And, just strong. I would never want to run for politics, but I love being involved in the backgrounds of it.
Yeah.
Growing up, one of my favorite shows, well, not growing up because I was kind of grown up by the time I was there, but West Wing.
I'm still growing up.
I'm still growing up. But I
Never
love those
grow
political
up.
shows of what politics should be like. Or like in a professional setting, what it used to be like. When I get really stressed out watching the news with all the politics going on, it's like turning off the news, turn on West Wing. Let's just pretend that's real life, just so I can breathe. Like, structure, order, But
yeah, but if you want to know what politics is really like, work for any Fortune 50, Fortune 100 company, and you'll learn where the politics actually exists.
Or the military.
In the fact that those are the ones that are actually often on Capitol Hill.
Yeah. Or like what
just
Sean
the politicians.
said, the military. And
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, I never really did. I still try to stay out of politics, even though it's very important. But being in the military, you had to know some, and that's what kind of made me so frustrated about it is the politics of that.
Yeah.
And, not even having a voice, not being allowed to have a voice while you're in was really frustrating as well.
Well, yeah.
To a point.
To a degree.
You had a different position than I did in the military.
Yeah, so I for most of my military career, I was in the public affairs genre, we'll call it.
That's where my grandpa was.
And so with that, part of my military training was I had to learn politics and how to maneuver it, how to recognize it, how to play within it, play nice. And, generally it was always in a play nice setting. You were always trying to appease and, be nice to the dignitaries, because eventually they're going to be deciding whether or not our base is going to be closing, or, so I learned all the politics from learning how to facilitate it the best through the military. But
I just had like 7 friends join the watch party, 8 now, 9, 10. So thank you for coming on and joining us as we are talking about Wonder Woman and female empowerment. We just had a little aside about the military, and I just want to bring it on back around to our topic of the day.
Yeah, let's let Jen talk a little more here, because we've lost one female voice here. We need to. Jen, you're in charge now.
Awesome. Well, I already was, but we're just going to take it back with the lasso of truth.
Well done.
And I'm excited that all of you have joined us. And something that I wanted to talk about that I was really just processing as I was driving particularly is about women and emotional labor. And so have you heard that term before?
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think I might know where it's leading, but
okay.
Take us there.
Okay. So something that I've been looking at lately, as far as women and things that we are quote unquote supposed to be doing, there's an article that's been going around Facebook a little bit about how women aren't nagging, but that we're exhausted. And it's talking all about the things that women do to like run a house and all the stuff that doesn't get noticed or recognized, but that if we were to stop doing it, it would be like, oh my gosh, there's what happened up in here? And so it's called emotional labor. And it's like the things that we kind of take on that people don't necessarily recognize as being done. And so one of the people that was posting the article was talking about how happy she is now. She's been waiting to be a wife for a really long time, and she just got married over the last few months. She has 1 child, and she absolutely adores her husband, like is super just over the moon over this person. And I was responding to the article, and I was saying, part of why I have not chosen this route of, wife, stepmother, and mother is because of the emotional labor, like that everything that gets taken on as a result of choosing to like blend a family, get remarried, etc. And it's just interesting to see sometimes the perspectives of, if you're a woman, this is what you're designed for. And there's not a lot of allowance for women to be able to have careers, to be politicians, to be out in the public eye, be public figures. It's like we have to be confined to the walls of our home, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. But then if you're a woman who is single and you're being asked to also take on stepchildren, like there's a huge part of that equation that doesn't get recognized, which is all the emotional labor of not only having to parent your own children, but then also being a co-parent to other children, adding an extended family, adding in new in-laws and grandparents into the situation, and whoever the, ex-baby mama is that's in the equation. And so just being in a place of having allowance for if somebody wants to do that, then awesome. And if somebody doesn't want to do that and they feel like their calling in life is something that extends beyond those couple of traditional roles. Like I, for myself, feel like I was gifted with a lot of different things, with ability in a lot of different areas. And if I confined everything to the walls of my house, I feel like I would not be serving and contributing to the world in the ways that I could.
I think that brings in another really important point, in that it's okay to be alone. It's okay. I mean, it can be a good thing to be alone if you choose for that to be. You don't have to have a partner. You don't have to have a relationship, and that's okay. And we think that that's a bad thing. And even like me talking about this suggests, well, he's insinuating that it's okay. But it's I even myself, as a man, and there are gender dynamics here, but as a man, one thing I've had to learn being single now, going from a relationship of 19 plus years, has been how to learn to appreciate and really enjoy and see loneliness as a good thing and not a bad thing.
Well, the efforts people will go to not be alone can be so drastic that it winds up being really detrimental to their life and to their children if they already have kids, as opposed to just choosing out of that entire narrative.
Yeah.
And so I've had 8 years now that I've been a single mom. So I've had relationships, and I've had times that I have dated, and then I've had times that I've been in like long seasons of not dating at all. And now that I've had a season of not being in anything, and it's been almost a year since I've done a lovesick idiot type of post, and I'm really proud of myself because I would always kind of want to share and be like, oh my gosh, I have found love, and then the butterflies kind of end, and you're like, oh, okay, here's like the menial everyday part of this thing. And I'm starting to see some of the true colors shining through that I sort of ignored the first couple of months because you're on that crack high. So I haven't been in the crack high for a while, and I'm really proud of myself. But what it's done is it's given me this clarity to go, what is it that we're even attempting to chase after? And I really feel like women get targeted with this stuff. Even in Wonder Woman, as much as we love that movie, she really kind of got derailed because she fell in love.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's why she left the island. That's why everything. Her whole thing is because she fell in love.
Yeah.
And,
it's about a boy.
Yeah. It's
if
where
I were a boy.
Love and relationships in many ways can be a distraction. It can be a good focus if you choose for it to be a good focus, and it has to be energetically compatible.
Well, if it further ignites your purpose together, which if you're a woman, you have to know what that already is.
Yeah.
You already have to be purpose-driven in order to create a purpose-driven relationship where you're both contributing to that.
And it's all about intention.
Yes, but if you're looking for like the Hallmark Christmas movie feeling, just watch a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Don't actually go out and pursue that on Tinder, because you're not going to get mistletoe magic. I just made that title up. That's not a real movie.
Mistletoe magic, that's a new one.
If you go look for that,
trademark.
I don't think you're going to find it. But
Trademark.
Hallmark, you might want this movie in your arsenal.
Jim Marco's trademarking that one.
But if you go swiping right to try to find something, we're really chasing after a feeling. And this is what I've had the clarity in over the last few months, to be able to go, what can I be able to generate from within myself that creates the same type of thing without actually having to put certain things that I really value at risk. And I personally, and I'm willing to say this on air, like when I hear that someone's been married for 50 years, I'm kind of like, cool. And I don't particularly value that for myself.
Yeah.
And I can acknowledge that I'm not the person that's like, yes, I want to take the next 40 years of my life and dedicate it to one person just so I can say that I did it.
Well, and again, that kind of gets back to the one-size-fits-all mentality, where it's like, oh, that's working for them, so I have to apply all that to my life. Or, I know plenty of people that have been together for 50 years and they've made it work, and that's awesome. I have other friends that I know, it's like they made it through for 5 years, and that's awesome. And other friends that have been together for 20 years, and that's awesome. And
sometimes you're together for 30 years, but you sort of hate each other.
Yeah.
Or you stayed
awesome.
together for the kids, which is kind of what my parents did, is they did not really display health.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there was a real lack of health in our home because there was a notion we have to stay together for the kids. And I really feel like, they could have probably left a long time ago from this situation if they would have given themselves the freedom to just acknowledge this has met the measure of its creation. We can choose something else now. And it wound up ending really badly. And in a way that created toxicity and alienation for everybody. Whereas if they'd just kind of dug in 10 years before then and gone, I think we just need to be complete. I think that would have really changed all of our narratives after that was done.
And I think the way that you prevent a lot of that from happening is the idea, and this is how you find your authentic self and your inner child, is there is no future, there is no past. The future and past are figments of our imagination. They might have actually happened, but as far as we're concerned, they're inside our brain right now. The only thing you can truly comprehend is what's happening right now, right here. And if you think of, what in my current self, of where I am right now in this place, can I even comprehend what a marriage is like, what a relationship is like, what whatever is? If you're trying to think of that, you're thinking into the future, which is just imaginary. If you take it one step at a time, where you are, what you're doing right now, and maybe someday it'll make sense right here, right now, that a relationship makes sense. But there's no sense even worrying about the future or the past or anything like that, because that's what introduces anxiety and worry and all the other problems that come with relationships and other things. So I don't know. I really love that's how I'm starting to attempt to live my life as much as I can. I'm not perfect
being
at
in the
it.
now.
Is being in the now, and it really has changed my life.
And when you be in the now and also be in the question about what's possible, and even just asking the question, like, what would it take for this thing to show up? Once you can identify what kind of feeling it is that you actually do want to feel or what you're wanting to generate, I think true empowerment for men and women and whoever is listening, I think true empowerment is actually being able to generate what you desire from within you. And not having to rely on a source outside of you to generate for something within you. Because once you start to outsource, that creates codependency. It creates you have to behave like this and you have to do this for me to be okay and to feel the way that I want to feel.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of pressure to put on another person, because that always leaves them in a situation where they're like, oh my gosh, I have to show up like this according to whose rules and perceptions and expectations, right?
Yeah.
If you're basing things off of Hallmark Christmas, well, that's going to be some unrealistic. Like, remember, guys, that the whole thing is scripted, and they had to do many takes to make those.
Your imagination.
And it's not real.
Exactly.
And it's generally based on a storyline that's like, we've joked about it on this show. That Christmas Shoes song that came from that Hallmark movie, Christmas Shoes, starring Rob Lowe. But here's the thing: all of those movies, like, they're literally written to emotionally manipulate you and take you on this emotional manipulative journey of angst and sorrow. It's emotional BDSM. That's what the Hallmark Channel is. And yeah, so if you're watching that thinking that this is
a soundbite right there.
The widowed dad loses his dog in the street, and the girl coming home from the internship or whatever just happens to pick up the dog out of the street, and he's like, "Oh, Fluffy, I thought you were gonna die," and then they meet, and yeah.
But yeah, they're taking down this emotional roller coaster, manipulating you. Let's give you all this angst, and then we'll show you these commercial breaks of things that you can buy to solve that angst.
It's very manipulative.
It's a marketer's dream.
It is.
And it creates a pursuit of something that makes you think, if I do this and if I buy this thing and I look like this or I act like this, then I'm going to get this thing. And it's going to make me feel like fill in the blank, whatever it is that you're chasing feeling-wise. And if you actually go the opposite way and you say, I'm going to generate something for myself and I'm going to feel this certain way, then things tend to magnetize towards you that help to increase what it is that you're in the pursuit of. But if you go the other direction, it doesn't actually work. No. And even if you do kind of get what you were after, it doesn't mean that it's permanent or that it even will contribute to your life the way you thought it would.
Totally. So we've been talking... it sounds like we've been really negative on relationships and everyone's going to be single and have a world of everyone single this break. But let's try to maybe bridge the gap between that when we come back from this commercial break.
Okay.
So you're listening to Comic.Church on K-Talk, AM 1640, real local two-way talk. We're talking Wonder Woman, the empowerment of women, and how, we'll be back after this.
Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. You can help by simply sharing your time, lending a warm smile, a supportive hand, or a sympathetic ear to someone who needs it. Everyone can do something to make veterans know just how much we appreciate their service. please visit www.volunteer.va.gov. What will you do?
I am a veteran. I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory was finding the help I needed. Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
When it's cold outside, warm up with the hottest live local two-way talk. K-Talk Media, 1640 AM.
What if you were wearing something sexy? What if you were drinking? What if you made the first move? No matter what, sexual assault is never your fault. Support is available 24/7 through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Call 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAINN.org. That's RAINN.org. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN, reminding you it's never your fault.
Brought to you by RAINN and this station.
Choosing your next Utah home should be a fun and exciting experience. As Utah's heritage home builder, Perry Homes is constantly striving to give our home buyers more for their money. More new homes in Utah, more desirable Utah home locations, more timeless designs, more inherent home value, and lasting pride of ownership. At Perry Homes, we make it our top priority to ensure the home buying process is as joyful and stress-free as possible. Our 40-plus year heritage has been forged on the principle of building Utah homes of high value in the communities where Utah families want to live and giving our home buyers the quality of home we're proud to call a Perry home. Visit us at perryhomesutah.com to see current Utah home locations and available home styles and floor plans. Perry Homes. We build homes where Utah families want to live.
Welcome back to Comic.Church on K-Talk AM 1640, real local two-way talk. We're talking Wonder Woman and a bunch of other stuff, and we're excited to have you back.
Drew was just talking about Drew's the married one here.
Yeah,
10 years.
10 years going on 11 this fall, and I kind of think it's a little ironic that we need the person in the gay relationship to bring it back to let's talk traditional relationships here.
Give us advice.
So. No, but so in the last time, we were talking a lot about how, we find a lot of empowerment and a lot of our individualism when we're by ourselves, and that's a great thing. And I'm not saying that's bad either.
Well, that's very important. Is by yourself is you need to learn to love yourself, and that's where a lot of strong relationships start, is because you are strong yourself, and that kind of brings it back to the Wonder Woman, the strength and everything of who you are, because if you go into that
can be found in a relationship setting,
just know what type of emotional labor you are taking on if you choose into one. And that's what most people don't really talk about. They just idealize marriage and family and white picket fences and all that kind of thing without just considering there's a whole lot that goes into this beyond the butterflies, beyond the chemicals. There's a lot more in the day-to-day labor, the day-to-day menial tasks, like what I coach teenagers and young adults every single day, minus Sundays usually, but I have people to my house every day. So we do get into conversation sometimes about who they're dating and whatnot. Some people are trying to decide, should I pursue a lifelong thing with this person? And I'm like, okay, so beyond the in-love feelings and the dopamine and everything, have you considered the grocery shopping, the dishes, the laundry, the chaperoning, the schedules, and everything else that goes into actually functioning with a person on a day-to-day basis and actually doing life together, minus, the really fun dates you've gone on and stuff like that? Like, have you considered the day-to-day life?
You don't think about the farting, the snoring, the leaving the toilet seat up. You don't think about the dirty laundry. all that kind of stuff. You know, like
well, and when you're falling in love, you're like, oh, I could manage all of this with another person. I won't care. And then when you're actually like a year in, you're like, if you snore one more time, I'm going to kill you. Go out to the couch. I need to sleep all the way through the night. So just being in a space where you can actually see past the chemical rush and be willing to look at the big picture, like see the forest through the trees and go, is this somebody that I can partner with, that as I'm going about my day-to-day activities, that I really want them there, that this is who I want to come home to or who I want to come home to me, and knowing that they're gonna be there.
Yeah.
And you're going to fall asleep and wake up next to this person. Hopefully. I just think that there's a pursuit of these things that winds up overshadowing the actual contributions that we be by ourselves, and that if you're going to be in a relationship or in a marriage or whatnot, that you still get to be that contribution to the world as well as to whoever that you're in relationship with.
Yeah.
Well, and it is possible also, but again, both partners in the relationship need to be open and willing to, again, be your authentic self, find your authentic who you are, and
and that takes maturity, doesn't it? It
does take maturity.
How old were you when you got into your 10-year relationship?
I was 28 when we started.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing too, is that sometimes
really,
age and wisdom,
Well, and I think most people really don't start coming into their authentic self until their 30s.
Yeah, that's true.
We try to keep that facade of who we thought and who we were supposed to be and pretended to be.
The 20s are like still trying to please parents.
Yeah,
exactly. Or leaders or somebody.
And then you get to 30 and, I don't know if you watch Grace and Frankie. It's my favorite show. This season,
I've only seen the commercial, but
this season they've adopted a new mentality of F it. We don't have the FCC 10-second delay button set up, so I only have to,
fluff it.
Fluff it. But no, you get into that point where you're like, screw it. I'm gonna do me. I'm tired of doing the impression of me that people think I should be. Like, just be you. And being able to be in a relationship where you have a partner who's, one, okay with that, but then also is going through it at the same time. Because I think in a lot of, especially in the LDS culture in Utah, marriage isn't, it's more about like a crab in a bucket. Like it's two crabs in a bucket, and marriage is there so when that one person's starting to crawl out and go beyond the paradigm of what is allowed, we could pull them back down. Yeah. And I think in those types of settings, you're not going to make much movement.
There's a comment. Can we just read a comment?
Yep.
Janeth Wilson says, what does the Bible say about marriage? It's not about me, me, me. I feel like our culture is so focused on empowering individuals, and we forget that we are made to be dependent on God. My 13 years of marriage is not perfect, but having God as the center of it helps us with everyday challenges. And I believe that there is a way to be dependent on God and God alone. Paul was. If we want to look at the Bible as a point of reference, as an example, he advocated for celibacy.
Yeah. And I think you can also add to that I mean, my personal opinion is God is part of all of us individually in our own ways. I believe in a personal God, a personal Jesus, or whatever you want to apply to that. And if that's the case and you're both relying on your own personal God and relying on that as the center within your relationship, then you can both be your own unique individual selves. And which is more attractive? And going back to Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman's attractive to a lot of guys, maybe maybe girls too, And why is that? Is it just because she's pretty? It's more than that. It's because she is her authentic self. She follows that, and you call it the child within, the God within. There's a million ways to apply it, but
she's following her gifting.
Yes,
she's using what she was gifted with and the abilities that she has to contribute to the world for good. And whatever that winds up looking like, whether that's within your house. And that's really the place that you're building and strengthening, if it's in your house and outside of your house. So you do something on a community level, do something on a national level, do something on a global level. It's wherever you get to be called and having the freedom to do that and to to partner with God to be on the journey and to know like that, okay, here's the things that I've been gifted with, and I believe that these are inherently from my Creator. And so I'm going to join forces and to trust that where I'm being led and the things that I'm encountering are by design, or however you choose to view it. Like there isn't, I don't think that there is a wrongness in being centered within oneself. Like I don't really personally believe that we're all designed to outsource everything that we be for the sake of just like one other person. I mean, it's awesome if that happens and works well and whatnot. But I'm not in that place in my life. And I pour a lot of myself into a lot of people. My children, my clients, my music associates, my friends, church, worship team, all these kind of places are people and spaces that I give energy to. And I value all of them.
Yeah. One thing, too, is like when you go into a relationship, you can't go into a relationship.
Fixer me. There we go.
Who you think they want you to be, or who, being a fake person just to get them to like you or anything like that, because
that falls apart fast.
Over time, that gets pretty tiresome and everything. And then, if they fall in love with that side of you, that's really not who you are.
Yeah.
So it's like a different persona. It's, you're basically lying to them and to yourself. So when you go into something honest with yourself and who you are, it's going to be more freeing, and they're going to actually fall in love with who you really are, and it just makes it that much easier and that much real.
That's what's interesting about the relationship with Wonder Woman and what's his name?
Steve Trevor.
Okay, and Steve Trevor is that he saw her in her full power, and so she wasn't having to kind of, hide.
Yeah.
And so that was part of what created the general bond in that relationship, wasn't that she was like, okay, I'm only this by night, but by day,
she's not Superman.
I have to cut it all off.
And that's the beauty thing, though, is you look at where she's from. They're all real. There's no social media. There's no any of this. There's no trying to be somebody else. Every one of those women are who they are, and it's who they perceive themselves and what they are. So
I just want to go wherever that island is and be like, can I please have like a 30-day training program with y'all?
Yeah.
And go back into the world, because they're so amazing. I just sat there in awe. Like, oh my goodness, there's so many levels of strength and physicality and ability, and it was just amazing to watch.
So I'm going to ask the question, do you need to go to the island to get that training?
No, I don't. I know that it's something that I could
make your own island.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That is definitely a possibility. And I've loved whoever I've worked with when I've been in a place of even doing some more of the physical training. I've had male trainers and female trainers, and all of it's been awesome. But there is a part of me that's like, I love the suspended reality that's there, and it would be cool to it'd just be cool to go there for like a day.
Definitely.
Or longer.
Definitely. But so we're coming up to the top of the show, or the end of the show. So let's just try to wrap it up. We've been in this world of Wonder Woman. We saw what happened when Captain Kirk or Steve crashes in, and
I think it's so ironic that he crashes, because I'm like, yeah, that's actually a good metaphor.
It is, and just through the whole progress of Diana following her intuition, listening to that inner voice, not the voice in your head, because that's a different voice, but that inner soul,
that inner
telling
knowing
you who you are, and just trusting that and carrying that trust through.
I've seen a meme that says Wonder Woman is not a person, it's a mindset.
Ooh, I like that.
And I've really thought that was a great way to put it, because I do believe that each of us has an inner Wonder Woman that we may or may not have yet tapped into, but that we can tap into. And that when we do choose to listen and follow intuition and things, there can be things that we feel led to do that nobody outside of us understands. They may be like, why are you going to go there? Or why are you going to pursue this? But we really feel the draw.
Yeah.
And then a little later, we might go, I know exactly why I was led to that location, that conversation, that interaction, this person, this community, et cetera, et cetera. But we do have to follow our inner knowing.
And going back to the example of as a child listening to Wonder Woman, and we all shared examples, even as guys, of how we used to pretend we were Wonder Woman at different times. As a child, it doesn't matter if you're guy or girl. Wonder Woman is still in you as a child. So why can't we embrace that today, even as guys?
It's in everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not an exclusively male or female thing. It's an inner, just being able to trust you.
And
wherever your heart's
I'm so
leading.
glad that we have, proper representation on the screen in the movies and everything like that now. That, my buddy's daughter, my niece, she, dresses up with the tiara and the bracelets, and she puts her hands together and, has that, and she can dress up with, her brother and be that strong female character.
And find the empowerment in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's not many of those women, those strong female characters in the comics, but...
And what would it take for more to show up? What would it take for there to be a radical increase of further representation?
But they're all surrounding us in reality.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of us could name off the top of our head several Wonder Women that we actually know in person.
My mom.
Yep, right?
Jen.
My mom
Thank you.
and the wonderful Wonder Woman sitting here to my left.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I like to look at my daughters.
Yes.
Yeah, my daughters are too. I've got two girls that are very strong advocates and compassionate and kind people. And I have a feminist son as well, which is amazing.
Listen to Comic.Church on K-Talk AM 1640. Listen to that intuition and be who you are. We'll be back next week.
Enough said.
Hey there, comic book fans and believers in all things geekdom. This is Pastor Drew, the Fairy Godbro, and I just want to let you know that all of us here at Comic.Church are working hard to build a place that we can all come to, a place of refuge, a place to be edified by the universes that inspire us the most. And this show, it's just the launching off point. We invite you to subscribe to our podcast, Church, using your favorite podcasting service. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, and more. Also, please like our Facebook page, Church on K-Talk. On our page, you'll have a chance to interact with us live each Sunday. Plus, you'll have a chance to hear from us as we post our thoughts, inspirational somethings, and whatnots all throughout the week. We have so much in store for 2019 and into the future, and we invite you to come along and be a part of it. We at Comic.Church know exactly how important fans are, and we thank you for taking a chance and being our fans.
Military life is rewarding, but it isn't always easy.
Managing the stress can affect even the strongest warrior.
But I will stay mission ready.
I will keep my mind and body fit.
Talk to my chaplain.
Seek care early. Strive for progress, not perfection.
I got this.
I got this.
Take the first step.
There's no better time than now.
Reaching out is a sign of strength. Visit realwarriors.net or call 800-874-2273.
I am a veteran, but I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran. When I got out, I felt like nowhere was safe.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory was finding the help I needed. Thanks to DAV, now I feel like I'm human again.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
You're listening to the all-new K-Talk Media, KBJA 1640 AM, Sandy, Salt Lake, and the entire Wasatch Front, bringing you live.
Here's correspondent Greg Cluxton.
Under his plan, the president would extend deportation protections for some undocumented